Yo, what's going on, everybody, man? It's your boy Marcus Elbow. Welcome to Elbow Media Studios, man. If this your first time, thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to the channel, because all we do over here is keep it crunk, man. Y'all already know what it is, man. My Astros going to the World Series again. Had to represent that, you know what I mean? But let's get to what this video is all about. Today we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be teaching you guys how to get started with Cubasis 2. Now, I know a lot of y'all out there are saying, hey, Mark, man, what is the difference between Cubasis 2 and Beatmaker 3? I thought they do the same thing. Well, you know what? They kind of do. But the thing about it is one of them does one thing better than the other, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because Beatmaker 3 is great for making beats. But when it comes to handling vocals and some different things like that, it can do it, but it just doesn't do it as fluent as Cubasis 2. You know what I'm saying? Cubasis 2 is more of a traditional digital audio workstation. And Beatmaker 3, to me, feels more like an MPC kind of setup. You know what I mean? So it's tailored for beats, and Cubasis 2 seems to be tailored for vocals and adding other things, guitars and things like that. So that's what we're going to look at today. So we're going to go ahead on and get started with that, man. Y'all know how we do. Ain't no need to waste no time, man. Let's jump straight into it. When you first boot up Cubasis 2, of course, you're going to be greeted with this here. You're going to have, one track. You're going to have an audio track, so you can put some vocals on there, guitar, or whatever you want to put on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to do just like we always do with these tutorial series. We're going to go through the UI to get you started so you can get familiar with what you're working with when it comes to Cubasis 2, okay? And some of the things will seem familiar if you never worked with a digital audio workstation, which is a DAW. And if you have, like I say, these things will be familiar to you, and if you haven't and you've been working with Beatmaker 3, you're going to be able to kind of feel your way with this, because you'll see that it's pretty much kind of the same, but it just looks a little bit different. To me, Cubasis 2 is a very, very simple piece of software to get into, and it's going to be a great piece of software to try to master, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Starting from the left top hand corner is the media, and this is going to be where you can control, or you could access all of your audio files. If you want to look at some of your drum loops, you can access that here. If you have some stems, which are tracks that you have exported from Beatmaker 3, you could definitely access those here if you save those files into your My Audio Files right here folder. And you'll be able to get to some of those files here. You'll be able to put them directly into Cubasis 2. And you could use those just like you would if you were using it in GarageBand or anything like that. Also, you have another folder here, which is your samples, if you want to bring some samples in, things like that. Now, don't forget, you could actually do tracks inside of Cubasis just like you do in Beatmaker. To me, though, it just feels a little bit more intuitive inside of Beatmaker 3, because they're built for that, and Cubasis is trying to do a lot of things in one package, and it just seems to me that Beatmaker really just does that better. That's my opinion. Now, would I take a track from Beatmaker and bring it in here and finish it? Of course I would, because Cubasis 2 has a lot of sounds inside, as you will see as we start to get ready to go through this UI. Okay, so your next is going to be your MIDI, where you can deal with some of your MIDI files, things like that. Right here is your instruments, just like I was talking about before. You can go through all of your instruments. You got your banks, you got sounds for days. I will say that I love the fact that Cubasis comes with a lot of sounds. That way you don't have to go out and try to buy a lot of audio units and plugins. You have some stuff that you can start with right here inside of Cubasis 2, okay? You also have your projects, and this is where you could either load up a demo, or you can start your own project from a template. You can see right here, create new project from template, create new project with video and audio files, so audio tracks. So essentially, they're going to try to give you a head start, so you don't have to go in and start creating tracks and all of that. Okay, then right here you have your mix down section. So if you want to do some different mix downs, every producer, every engineer knows that sometimes you can engineer something, mix something one day, come back the next day, and it sounds totally different. So save that mix, come back the next day, and then you can do another mix, and you can save all those mixes here, and you can export them and listen to them in your car, listen to them in different other places on your iPods or whatever, or your iPhone or whatever, and then that way you can get a good idea of how your mix is going to sound on different devices. Okay, and then right here, self-explanatory, you have your trash. Okay, next icon moving to your right is going to be your keys. Okay, this should definitely be familiar to you. Right here is where you could play your keys. So if you want to, like you right now, we have the piano, because whenever you load up this template, that template comes already ready with the piano, right? So you can play your pianos here and you can get that started. Okay, and let's just talk a little bit about the piano and what you can do since we're already here. Okay, you have your mod wheel, of course, right? You have your sustain, and if you see it right there, once I just put my finger on it, right? And then if you look next to that, you have pads, so you can actually play with some pads. And what they're going to do is they're going to break those pads down in chords, kind of just like Beatmaker 3 does. If you initiate that inside of Beatmaker 3, your pads will play chords, but they already come ready to go. And right under pads, if you see right here, you can hit the edit, and then you can go in and you can change some of those chords if you like, for whatever pad that you're using. See, this is pad 2. If I want to change it, I can just click over here, and then I could change it. Okay, and then you have your note repeat, which is self-explanatory. If you hold your button down and you push this, okay, all right, and that's pretty much how the piano is. And if you look here right at the top of the key section where you can kind of slide here, and then you also have those pads here. But then if you look here, whenever you play those pads, you can see a representation of those chords that are being played, which can be pretty cool. If you grab one edge of that little slider, you can see more keys represented inside of your key, your little key digital display here. And then you can also see all of the chords that are being played, which is pretty neat, man. You can actually learn from this. If you really want to try to learn how to play some chords or whatever, this would be a good way to try to figure out, what chords are, musicians are playing if you don't know how to play. You know what I'm saying? So that's a pretty good feature. I really, really like that. Okay. All right. So let's get off of the keys. And the next is going to be the mixer. Okay, and the mixer shows it represents exactly what's inside of your little play or your record area here. These are the tracks. Okay, and we could add more tracks, and those tracks will start to populate right across the bottom here, which is cool. And once that happens, you'll start kind of getting that same feel of the studio, the normal DAWs, like anything like Pro Tools, Logic Pro, or anything like that. Okay, and that's that. We're not gonna really go into the mixer right now. We're just gonna show you how to get to that. And if you push that again, it goes away. Here go your transpose. So you already know you have your this is your go back to the front, go to the end. This is your loop, your play, your record, and your metronome. Okay, all right. And then right here next to that, we have our tempo. You can change your tempo here. You can change your signature, record mode, count in, roll in and out, things like that. You also have your shop right next to that. So right when you buy Cubasis, you can go in and you can purchase some different waves. And if you're not familiar with Waves, Waves is a company that's been around for a very long time, for as long as I've been doing music. And they make plugins and things like that for Pro Tools and different other DAWs. You can go in and you can purchase some of their effects that they have available. It seems to be they're working directly with Cubasis, and so that stuff is inside of the app, so you can purchase that right there and you can keep moving. And as you can see, I already have purchased all of the effects that comes with this little wave package, because I like them. I like what they do, and I love the way their stuff sounds. But if you look down here at the bottom, you have some other different options that you can buy. I didn't buy everything, but I did buy a few of them, And I think some of them was free whenever I bought this software. So anyway, that's your shop. All right, your next icon is going to be your setup. Okay, and the setup is cool because you can actually go in and change your sample rate for your project. You can go into your arranger. This point right here, you can change the different colors of your layout. You can go with bright, you can go with dark if that's what you like, or you can go with gray. I kind of think dark is kind of cool. We'll play around with it for a little while. You have some different options while you're trying to record. You can arm selected tracks. You can have playhead scrubbing. So if you have that on, whenever you go up here, you can scrub. I think if you turn it off, you won't be able to do that. Unfreeze tracks options, some low wave quality. Just in case you have an older iPad, you can actually have this performance option here. And you have some different other options for your screen resolution and some things like that. Or return to start position on stop. Just some other options in there. You have some audio options here. You can do some with your poly. You could change how many polys can be played at one time. Background audio. If you stop the app or you get out of the app, you can have the app playing in the background while you're working on something else. You can have this here is where you have your audio device. Right here it has iPad microphone, but if you had another microphone that was outside of that, outside of being on the actual iPad, this is where you could actually tell the software that you're going to be using a different type of microphone. Right here is your hardware latency, if I could say that word. This here really is based on how much processing power your iPad has. If you have a new one, if you have an older one, if you're seeing that whenever you're playing too many tracks at one time, you're having some problems, go here and change that to see if that'll help you out. Large recording buffer, input gain, you can change all these things right here. You have some MIDI options here if you're dealing with MIDI controllers and some different things like that. You have your keys and pads for your transpose, things like that. Velocity sensitive, if you want to turn that off, so whenever you hit the keys, they won't play louder or softer based on your touch. You can change that right there. Your metronome, you can change the volume, output, pan, things like that. And then right here, lastly, inside of setup, you have your mix down and share options as far as how you want to send this out and how you want to handle that, okay? And that essentially is the setup. And then right here you have your help, of course, where you can go and you can try to figure out how to work Cubasis tool, looking at tutorials, mixers, and things like that. So that is there for you if you need to do that, okay? I like this black, but it's giving me a little reflection. So let me go back in there, go back to the Arranger, and I'm gonna make that gray, okay? And there we go, okay? So that's the top of the DAW, and now we're gonna just make our way real quick right across the left side. We're not gonna look at the other options right now. We'll come back to that real quick. Let's just go ahead and take a quick look at what's going on the left side, all right? Because that looks kind of cool. Okay, so if we look at the first little option here, the first tab, that's going to be this track right here. If you switch it right there, you'll see that changes to my second track. Let's go back to the first track, okay? And if you go to your next one, this is for routing. So this is how you want to do your MIDI if you want to change anything with your MIDI. We're not going to talk about MIDI right now. This is your actual track right here. So you have some options here if you want to change the attack, the release of how whenever you hit the key, how that comes out. You also have a channel strip effect option here. So if you actually on this with that button right there, and then you enable it with the E, you will be able to see the options you have right here for doing some compression, some noise gate, some saturator, and some other things inside of that, okay? So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then you also have another EQ here. If you bring that up, you got a channel strip EQ, so you can do some EQing from right here without even going into the mixer. You can do it right there on the spot. So that's pretty cool. I just doubled up on y'all like that. How y'all like that right there? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kill that. You have some synth effects, okay? You can send some effects to different tracks, so you can just pull from one audio track. aux track if you want to do that. Okay, and then we can look at the MIDI effects. It's the same thing. All you have to do is tap. You can bring in an effect, same way we were doing on the insert effects. You have your automation options here. You have the notepad just in case you want to write down some notes. Maybe you want to say this is a lead vocal, thing like that. Of course, you can change the name of the track and have it lead vocal. But what if you wanted to write some in, some notes you want to keep to yourself, or some notes you want to send to another person? If you sent this out to another user, they'll have some notes right there. You also have a channel strip that you could pop right in to from right here. Okay, and you can make some adjustments here. You can mute, solo, record, some things like that. Okay, and then right here you have where you can actually change the color of that track. Okay, now we don't want to make this too long, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through some of the options up here, and then we're gonna save the rest for another tutorial. Okay, right here you have your select button here. So this button will allow you to select tracks. You have your split next to that. So let's just say you had a piano or something here, you'll be able to split that. You also have some glue to bring two tracks together. You also have an erase. That's your next icon right here. You also have a draw where you can draw some tracks out, or draw a section where you can actually add some tracks to it. Okay, and then you have a mute button, so you can actually mute that track if you don't want to hear it right from there. You have your undo, your redo, you have your copy and your paste, transpose, and quantize. Okay, and pretty much that is the UI inside of Cubasis 2. And right here at the bottom, you can add another track if you like, and it asks you what type of track you want to add. You want to add a MIDI or an audio. We're gonna go ahead and add MIDI, and you can bring all that down and just keep adding them, and then you can actually go in and change your instrument for whatever you're dealing with. Okay, and you can go that route if that's what you want to do. As you can see right here, I'm changing the track. Okay, all right, man. So that essentially was just trying to get you really acclimated into the system so you can kind of see what you're working with. Our next tutorial is going to cover how to start recording tracks and how to manipulate some of the tracks and move around inside of the sequencer. All right, look guys, as you can see, all I really wanted to do in this tutorial was really try to get you familiar with what's going on inside of Cubasis 2 so that you will be able to navigate and move around. Because listen, you could try to record all day long and try to just jump straight in, but if you don't know how to work your software, you're not going to be able to be creative as you want to be. All right, look for the next tutorial. We're going to actually look at doing some recordings and moving around inside of Cubasis 2. All right, listen, man, don't forget to hit that sub button. Don't forget to hit that post notification so that you can get notified whenever we drop videos like this. And remember, hit that like and leave a comment, because that helps the algorithms with YouTube to help other people find this video so that they can get some help as well with navigating through Cubasis 2 or Beatmaker 3 or anything that this channel has to offer. All right, hey man, I'm your boy Marcus Elbow. This has been a great day, great tutorial. My Astros is going to the World Series. I love it, baby. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. All right, man, peace.